morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Jason, not Spike Cohen, Lion, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
This time on the right page.
This time on the right page. Yeah, we are not on the Vermin Supreme page this time. We are on the Muddied Waters page. So to Vermin, we do apologize for that. We did not realize that we were streaming to your page. First and foremost, allow me to thank Benjamin Daniel Morris Chestnut the 17th for the kava that I'm drinking on today's episode.
And thanks to Glacier for the smart water, as not Spike Cohen.
To all above, Bulavanaka. Now that makes a lot more sense with the number of people watching us as compared to before. But since we were on Vermin Supreme's page, let's real quick talk about the latest development in the LP presidential race with Justin Amash dropping out of the race today. The race that he never officially entered but was running for.
Yeah. Yes. So fantastic for somebody to not be running in a race and then to drop out of said race before they officially got into it. I'm just, the fangirls around this country are just heartbroken today. And all I can say is maybe he should have read the platform before he joined.
I honestly believe, and since I'm not a member of the party, I feel I can say these things without fear of anything. I honestly believe that the person most hurt by this is probably Nick Sarwark, who won't be able to ask him to pick him as VP.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not having a blatant Republican retread, like in the front for the LP, obviously is hurting him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can forgive a lot of things, but neoconism, we don't have to forgive.
We don't
as
have
long
to
as
forgive.
Sarwark is here.
That's right. What's funny is last night I was hanging out at the local mud watering hole, and I was hanging out with personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, and he and I were talking, and he said, is there really a difference? He was asking me if there was a difference between the Libertarian Party and the two major political parties if we pick Justin Amash, like we did with Gary Johnson in 16, Gary Johnson in 12, and Bob Barr in 8.
Yep.
And I looked at him and I went, no. Mm-mm.
No, absolutely not. And
No.
I think that you could have a difference if, right, you take somebody who was a Republican, they realize what the platform is about, the LP platform is about, and then they come out and they say, all right, I agree with that, and then they run on that platform. But with Justin Amash running and saying, look, I'm all for the constitutional limitations, and I want to bring back the Constitution, it's like, find me in the platform where that's one of our stances. Sure, there are stances that we take that align with that, but it's not. We don't use the Constitution. I think a lot of people look at it from Lysander Spooner, one of my favorite quotes out there. Whether it be one thing or another, this much is clear: it's either enabled the government we have or was unable to stop it. In either case, the Constitution is unfit to exist. So, absolutely, Justin Amash is just being a retread. It's not good for the party. It's not good for the platform. It's not good for anyone who wanted to jump on his bandwagon. So for all of you, I'm sorry, but suck it, Trebek.
So that leaves, in my mind anyway, and many people will tell me I'm wrong, I'm certain, but in my mind, the three major candidates that are left running right now are Vermin Supreme, Jacob Hornberger, and Jim Gray. Now, Dan Berman is he's a good friend and just a fantastic guy. I think personally the smartest guy running. I think I love him all. I love him, but I don't think he has that great of a chance of winning the nomination.
Yeah.
Adam Kokesh, and then it's just Joe.
Just dodging every sexual question out there.
Jorgensen. Right. Good old Joe dodging every sexual question out there. Jorgensen. That is a mouthful of a nickname. If I ever had
but warranted.
Right. It's exceptionally warranted. So
unlike having the police called on you for talking about jury nullification. Yes, that's right, Judge. I'm looking at you, Gray.
And yeah, with Jim Gray saying that the police should be called on you if you are supporting or talking about jury nullification really hurts him.
Yes.
Really hurts
So
him.
hopefully that that takes some ground, because for me personally at least, somebody jumping in late to the race, that's just a disrespect to everyone else.
Right.
We had a terrible, absolutely terrible SCLP debate last year, and one in which the Muddy Waters finally came together. We got to stew in our own hate and discontent for things that were going on.
Right.
And we got to meet a lot of the presidential candidates then.
Right, in person, where we got to sit down and talk with them. The ones that wanted to talk to us.
The ones that actually wanted the libertarian candidacy early enough to get supporters.
Right.
So Jim, just go ahead, go home.
And
go follow through.
I met Jim back in 2014, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I met him at the Florida Libertarian Convention in Tampa, and really nice guy. I liked him a lot. I was like, this guy, he's fantastic. He's great on drugs. He's great on drugs. He's great on war. And I support this guy. And then he disappeared for 6 years. I'm certain he was doing things, but he just wasn't out in the forefront. And then when he first announced that he was running, I was like, oh, wow. And then since then, UBI, or what did he call it? He didn't call it a UBI. He called it reverse income tax or whatever.
Negative income tax.
Negative income tax. Called it the negative income tax, and then he's coming out against jury nullification. He says he supports it, but he also says that...
Yeah. He supports it unless you're doing it on the grounds that the courts are on.
Right.
So my question to him, if I cross the street and I'm on the other side, you cool with it then? Like...
Right.
So this just makes me want to go out and start petitioning people and being like, hey, here's what it is.
Right. And jury nullification is quite honestly the greatest thing anybody can do on the localist of levels.
Yes.
Like never say no to jury duty. Never say no to jury duty.
Yeah. I hope I'm begging for them. They won't do it to me.
I try to get on. I try to get on all the time.
They refuse to.
No.
I was like, I'm gonna go knock on their doors and be like, can I get jury duty today? Like, you don't have to pay me. I will just do it.
You don't have to give me the $15 in lunch. Yeah, I have been called for jury duty in more times than most people, and I have gone in, but I've never been selected. And I think that they like go through and they're like, okay, Matt Wright, look, no. Get that guy out of here.
He's gonna nullify this.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
The DA is going, all right, we got this drug case. Let's see, who do we got out there? Matt Wright. No, don't even bring him in. I don't want to see him.
He will get other people to nullify for him.
He will talk about people's personal rights, and really, the guy's just an entrepreneur, and then he'll get at least 2 or 3 other people, and we won't get this guy. But jury nullification, seriously, is the greatest thing any of us can do. Is one of the easiest and the greatest thing we can do to enact change within our communities. And Judge Jim Gray just said that if we're talking about it on court property, the police should be called.
Yep. So he later said, of course, that he supports jury nullification. So it really is just the speech, where the speech is occurring, that he opposes. It's just like, that's very libertarian of you. That is the most libertarian you could ever get.
Right.
I just agree with the speech. I agree with all the places that I agree with it to be committed. So Jim Gray, I'm sorry.
Well, that was a very Amashian answer of, I believe in your right to carry weapons, but don't bring them to the Capitol.
Guys, I know that you guys are all suffering across Michigan. We know that you guys aren't able to get out of the house. Domestic violence is up, suicide rates are up. People are dying, and that's okay. We need to come at this civilly. Don't threaten the government. Just calmly and rationally talk to people, and eventually they're gonna give in to you. This is how it works.
Right. Robin Dominic in the comments said, go get a banner and drive around the building. That's actually a really good idea. You drive around, you have a banner off the top of your car. I've got a Jeep. You could just hang a flag right off of it. And then Be like, you don't
Yes.
have to vote guilty. You can let them free.
Yes, I am totally. So we're going to talk about some activism here in a little bit, but I think that this is the next best act. This is probably arguably even better activism in some ways.
I think because you actually help the individual, you can help an individual, which is
Yeah.
what makes jury nullification great. And if you can do it, if enough people start doing it, it actually enacts law change.
Yes, it forces lawmakers to change because then it's just like everyone disagrees with this law. Why do you still keep it enacted?
Right.
You know, such as like civil asset forfeiture, certificate of need, et cetera, et cetera. It's just like these are terrible laws. Get bent.
Yeah, get bent. I like that. But yeah, no, jury nullification, I have been a huge proponent of it since I learned about what it was. And I said, well, that's a stupid law. If I was on that case, I'd just vote that he was not guilty and let him go.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to change my mind. I would be able to change at least one person's mind.
And that's all that it takes.
And I would just sit there and argue. If they sequestered us, we would be there for a while.
I'm gonna get a second day of that $15.
Yeah,
lunch, that's for sure.
I'm getting another lunch out of this. But the real reason that we are having this impromptu special Saturday edition of the Muddied Waters of Freedom, and the reason that I brought on Mr. America, the Bearded Truth, back,
Not Spike Owen.
not Spike Cohen, to the Muddied Waters Media channel. I didn't really bring him back. He's always allowed here. He can just go live whenever he wants. Is because we're going to talk about something very near and dear to his heart today, which is hashtag
Reject bailouts.
Reject bailouts. I was like, refuse bailouts. I was like, that's not right. It's something. Reject
Yeah.
bailouts.
No, absolutely. And so thank you everyone, of course, for letting me come on and take a little bit of your time to talk about this. This reject bailouts thing is as Matt said, is a huge issue that I'm extremely passionate about because I don't like hurting people. I don't like taking their stuff. And Congress right now wants to take $3 trillion of all of our stuffs, and not our stuffs, but future generations. So I thought that this was an important topic, and so I'm grateful that we're having this opportunity. If you guys have been missing me, it's because my internet is absolute shit. So Matt was gracious enough to give me the platform for a little bit, and so we wanted to discuss with you guys the HEROES Act. Now, if you guys are any way familiar with the government and the way that they work, they give you nice, fluffy, feel-good names for the worst, absolute worst bills.
Yeah.
The Patriot Act, it takes a real patriot to stand up against the Patriot Act. It takes a real hero to stand up against the HEROES Act because there's nothing heroic about it and there's nothing patriotic about the Patriot Act.
When I saw that they called this the HEROES Act, initially I was like, okay, the HEROES Act, they're probably going to just give a bunch of money to like the doctors and the nurses and, you know, EMTs. And then I was like, wait, $3 trillion?
Deal.
Why do they want $3 trillion for the doctors, the nurses, and the EMTs? And then, well, it's the government, so of course.
Of course, there's a bunch of non sequiturs all throughout. Yeah, no. So this has actually been a campaign that we've been that I've been working on is to fight against rejecting these bailouts. Now, of course, if you guys are familiar with other organizations or organizations in general, there's a couple out there that are pushing this reject bailouts, and one of those happens to be Americans for Prosperity. But these bailouts are actually, when they were first being discussed, being pushed by Nancy Pelosi, was just to be able to basically bail out states. So because states such as Illinois, California, and New York, who have spent an egregious amount above their revenue each year for decades, they go, oh, hey, there's this coronavirus. I'm going to use the coronavirus as an excuse. Hey, federal government, give me some money. So now we have states like Illinois who's asking for $41 billion through this bailout just so that they can make it by. Which, there's so many states across this country that, much like here in South Carolina, where I am, up in Muddyville. So these states run balanced budgets. Make sure that your revenue is similar, if not more, than what your expenditure. Fiscal policy, it's important. So these states refuse to do that. And so now they're going to go, hey, we need this big bailout. We need all this money. And so there's about $1 trillion. There's a little less than $1 trillion going to states and local governments. That's cities, that's counties, and of course the states
Now,
themselves.
one of the things I saw is 50 no $50 billion. 50 no 1 trillion. It was, I think, $50 billion, $51 billion to be split up evenly amongst all of the states in the district.
Yes.
Does that mean the district is getting $1 billion?
Yeah, of course. Of
I was like,
course.
is this like split up evenly? Is this going to be like per capita, or is this going to be just everybody's going to get $1 billion? And you have states like, New York, California, Illinois, who have these just weakening pension systems
Yes.
that they can't afford to pay because they've closed their economies and they have no way to pay these pensions. And now they're like, okay, well, now we need the federal government for help. And of course, Nancy Pelosi and all of the Democrats in the House, well, not all of them, oddly, not the progressives. The progressives voted no.
Yes, and there's a good reason for that. But yeah, no, the pensions, this has been an issue since before the coronavirus, and then now because of the coronavirus, it's of course exasperated this. But when you already don't have enough revenue and then you cut off all revenue, you start floundering around a little bit. So we really get to the problem that they think that, hey, we had too much government because the government shut down this economy. Hey, if we just have more government, this is going to solve the problem of too much government. And then once we run into another problem, we'll just put on another layer of government.
Right, we'll just throw another a little bit more government on top of the government, on top of the government, on top of the government.
Yeah.
But yeah, I attempted to read 1,818 pages or 1,816 pages of a bill this morning, which is roughly about the same amount of time that they're given before voting. And that's just not possible.
No, and there's so many goodies in there too.
There are so many.
I love the first thing I go to is the amendments. There's of course hate crimes being discussed in here because coronavirus is a hateful bitch.
It's a hateful disease.
So we have to, of course, go after hate crimes during this. If an amendment is good enough to be applied to something as important as saving our heroes across this nation, maybe it would be good enough just to be a standalone bill. But who cares about like good policy? But I want to go back to like the progressive things that you were talking about.
Okay.
So there is the issue. There was 14 Democrats that voted against this. Some of them these are the ones that you're going to see a lot of the media focus on. These are representatives that are in swing districts, such as here in South Carolina, we have First District, Joe Cunningham. He is a Democrat, but he has the potential that he may lose coming up in November. So him voting no is important for him. So he came out and he took a strong stance. But the progressives weren't getting enough in there for them. It didn't go far enough. So $3 trillion, no. We need to have more money being spent. They of course don't really genuinely care about where it's spent. Now, if they can, of course, get more of their pet projects, they're excited about it. But once we saw with the CARES Act, when that one was passed, I think it was like 2.2 trillion.
Right.
Immediately, huh?
I think 2.2 or 2.3. I was thinking 2.
Yeah. So it's right around there.
Right.
As soon as that came out, as soon as that passed, the first thing that AOC and a couple other the further left Democrats, the first thing that they said was nobody came out and challenged where are we going to pay or how are we going to pay for this. They came out and they knew as soon as they accepted it, as soon as it went through without a challenge on that they were then authorized to be able to use that same kind of expenditure. So getting $3 trillion. No. We want to push this envelope. Let's get as much money in there as possible.
Right.
And that's for the long run. I think right now, 2020, regardless of the coronavirus, 2020 is the year where Democrats are really trying to take this narrative of pushing the Overton window. The presidential races, everyone knows that none of them are going to win, right? I don't think anyone here in our audience has of the belief that Joe Biden actually has a chance. I
am certain there are people in our audience and maybe somebody on the show who believes that Joe Biden still won't be the nominee.
I think that there's a better chance of that
Yeah.
than Joe Biden actually winning. So, and I think that you could even support him and just know that he's not going to win. But so what we saw from the wide variety of people who ran for the Democratic nominee was a very almost unanimous push. A lot of them were pushing for Medicare for all, and they had slight variances within that. And so they're all pushing the same message to try to push as many people to that direction as possible. Now, of course, the position that the Republicans failed to do, and certainly a lot of other people were failing to do, was to be able to point that out. Instead, they were just saying, look, they're all just pushing for Medicare for all. And it's just like, why is that a bad thing, right? They failed to actually like address it. We, of course, here at Mighty Waters, destroyed it multiple times over.
Oh yeah, easily.
But we don't. We there's a huge failure on the optics for the important 3% of voters. 3% of voters is what really changes a lot of the different state, the electorate votes or district votes. It's that 3% right in the center, those fence sitters. And I think 2020 is that year where we're going to see some radical change just because of the presidential races as well as the responses to the emergencies such as coronavirus. So I'm genuinely worried about that. But we wanted to talk about the rejecting bailouts.
So, like Thomas Massey, as everybody knows, representative from Kentucky, he predicted that by the end of the coronavirus, the national debt will be $40 trillion. I think he might be a little light, like just a little light, but I think he might be light.
Well, he's at least playing the Price is Right game where he stays under it and he's good.
Right, yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me because not everybody, most people that are in Congress are like, well, we have a blank checkbook and we can just try to write our way out of this. And I saw, oh God, I wish I could remember who this was, but since we did literally no prep today, I don't have it here. But somebody said, we learned from the lessons of the Great Depression and now we can just write checks to get ourselves out of it.
Yep.
No, that's not how that works.
Who's going to bail out the federal government once we hit 40 trillion?
Right.
Right now, if we didn't spend another penny at the end of this year, we would be $28 trillion in debt. $28 trillion in debt. All you Republicans out there that was like, oh, Obama got it to 20 trillion. Yeah. Trump has signed to allow for 8 trillion in 4 years as opposed to the 10 in 8. So big spending.
Yeah, big spending going on. And that's from a man who said, trust me, I will get rid of the national debt in my term.
Yes. By the end of his second term, he promised us on the campaign trail to remove every penny of the federal debt.
And he has signed in 8 trillion more to the federal debt. And just a lot of people are like, yeah, what, does that really matter? Like, hang on a sec. I got to look something up really quick because I want to make sure I get these numbers right.
I'm waiting for him to pull the wall stick and be like, China's going to pay for it. China. But no, I think that there really is genuinely like a huge concern there while you're looking that up. That when we don't have a regard for the spending and when you have fiscal irresponsibility such as bailing out states, who's going to bail out the federal government? Right. We're literally just socializing these catastrophic damages, right? Everyone's worried about these states going bankrupt and not being able to afford and people dying. It's just like, so we do that to the entire nation then?
And yeah, so I heard this stat a long time ago. It blew my mind. A lot of people don't realize how big 1 trillion is. Like they don't understand it. And this blew my mind when I heard it. If you're talking about seconds, 1 million seconds equals 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds equals 31 and 3/4 years. 1 trillion seconds equals 31,710 years. And we're talking about 24, 25 right now? Trillion
Yeah,
dollars.
we just hit 25 trillion a couple days ago.
Right. $25 trillion in debt right now. If you look at that in seconds, how are you going to get that back?
Yeah. And of course, like with the modern monetary theory and all that fake ass bullshit, they don't want it to go away. So
No.
it's just, if you lose the debt, you lose the value of the currency and a bunch of other shit that doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, I didn't realize when I got debt free as an individual that I suddenly didn't have value. That's really interesting theory.
It's really interesting. I've been working so hard to be debt free my entire life, and that means that I'm not worth anything. Now, a few of the things that were in this package, like we said, $1 trillion in aid to state and local governments, extending the $600 per week addition for unemployment benefits through January 2021. Now,
this one was really interesting for me. So real quick, I have a friend who ran a tanning salon. So small business owner, and as a result of the government orders to shut down her business, she did. So she was following the orders of those who deemed themselves to be the authority on the issue. She shuts down her business. One of her employees was working for 4 hours per week. And the employee quit before she was forced to shut down. So just a little time before. So this employee, who was making very low wages, arguably, working 4 hours a week, so making enough to get the gas to and from work, basically, files for unemployment and is now receiving over $900 a week in unemployment because of that $600 stipend, right. Because of, there's just this state natural unemployment. So when you have a system that enables for people to make more money not working than when they do work, you're not going to have a system where people want to go to work. This is why communism fails. So you could put an end date on it, and guess what happens on January of 2021? Every one of those motherfuckers that's going to be on unemployment goes, oh, I could just go petition the government for more money?
Right.
Oh.
Which, you know that in January of 2021, roughly a few weeks before whoever wins gets inaugurated, you're going to start seeing calls of, we don't have enough jobs for the 32 million people who are unemployed. We need to come up with some sort of stimulus package for those people, and they will work to pass it. And you can't really, you can sign not to, but then let's just say that Trump is reelected.
Yeah.
He would have to sign off saying, no, I'm not going to give you guys more money. And I guess at that point, he's already won. It doesn't matter. But he's going to automatically appear to be the bad guy to all the people who just elected him.
Yep. Which
I thought that for Trump's Trump card, I thought that I legitimately believe, I still believe this, that in August, late August, early September, he is going to federally legalize weed.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
I honestly believe he is going to do that because I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
And he knows that it costs money. He knows that it wastes money. He's going to ask them to federally legalize weed. He's going to take it off the banned substances list. And then he's going to be able to go out and be like, I'm the president that gave you your weed back. You're welcome, America. Go out, enjoy, smoke up, toke them if you got them. And then he's going to
be beautiful. He has, to give him credit where it's absolutely necessary. Him on criminal justice reform has been great. First Step Act, which was a fantastic piece of legislation, fighting against mandatory minimum sentencing, giving more discretionary to judges. We have some people that have been able to walk free from this. Matthew Charles was the first national recipient. He was down in Florida, down from your state,
Yeah.
where he was incarcerated. You've got plenty of great success stories from President Trump. This has always been a talking point for every presidential candidate. It's almost like the anti-war rhetoric. Everyone says, we're going to fix the criminal justice system. We're going to stop all these endless wars. We're going to pull out. And then they get into office and they go, what did I say again? Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. That doesn't matter. I'm in.
And then they go and spend a bunch of our money and not even our money, just our kids and our grandchildren's and great-great-grandchildren's kids' money. But yeah, it's so he's been a big help on that, but it's just
right.
I would love to see him do that.
I think he's going to, but I also believe that in order to try to ensure his reelection, he will continue spending money to put money in the pockets of Americans, and he will continue signing it because then he can say, "I gave you that money."
Yeah,
because without his signature, the money doesn't happen. So he's going to continue to do it as literally the Andrew Yangiest version of himself to be like, I'm buying your votes.
Yes. That's all that this is. Whenever government gives you anything, it's not because they care about you. It's because they want your support later on down the road.
Right. And, you're going to have the Democrats out there, and they're going to be saying, well, we were the ones that wrote the bill. We're the ones that passed the bill through the House. And then they're going to say, yeah, but you didn't. The Republicans got it through the Senate, and Trump signed it. So we're the ones that gave it to you. And that's going to be what a lot of this entire campaign season is going to look like.
Yeah. And I think bringing this back to the bill. So yesterday we had the passing through the House. 14 Democrats signed against it. 1 Republican, it was Representative Steve King from New York, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Signed in favor of the bill. And so it was very partisan. I mean, it was created in closed doors with Democrats only. And so, I mean, it was a very partisan bill to begin with. So now that's going over to the Senate. Now, Mitch McConnell's already said that it's dead on arrival. We're not going to pass it. And I think that that's true. We're not going to pass it in the form that it stands in right now. But what we're going to see is we're going to see some manipulation within it, whether it's a brand new clean slate or it's taking what's already there, cutting some fat, but adding in some Republican fat. That way we can make a true bipartisan bill, send that back to the House. As long as they have enough there for the Democrats to win, to sign on to, they'll get it passed through on both chambers, send that over to the president. And now President Trump is kind of stuck in a pickle. He doesn't quite get as much credit anymore, but he's already made verbal commitments to not sign the bill as it is. And so kind of shifting gears, this is exactly what we are advocating against is these bailouts have to be rejected. We have to take a strong stance. We have to look at the fiscal policy. We have to understand that the issues with this coronavirus have only been made worse through government action. And so government inaction would be the best action in a lot of ways. And so pet projects, non sequiturs, right? Taking out the hate crime stuff, taking out things that are not related to coronavirus and its relief is not necessary. And so we are right now, right now there's organizations going out there and pushing and advocating for us to get involved.
Organizations like who?
Americans for Prosperity is one of those. Concerned Veterans for America, Libre. There's a couple others, kind of under the umbrella of Stand Together. But if this is something that you guys are even a quarter of the way as passionate about as I am, like I know that you guys are going to be driven to want to know what can you do, how can we make this change, and with the bill coming to the Senate, projected to be this next week. We have to let our senators know. I've already been in contact with Lindsey Graham's office. I've already got the canned letter back. I'm excited to see that canned letter once again. He's talking about how he loves the troops and loves the people, and he wants to support these foreign wars because nothing is better than bombing brown kids. So, we have to reach out to our senators. We have to make sure that they understand that we cannot and we will not give them political cover should they be supported in support of these bailouts. We have to take a strong stance on those. And so there is events going on nationwide. Regardless of what state you're in, you can always call into the Americans for Prosperity South Carolina's events, which you guys can reach out to me, and I would be happy to get you guys involved and engaged on that to help spread the awareness of what's within these bills, the level of irresponsibility, the recklessness that's within them, as well as call to action for every person that we get in contact with to send that letter to their senators to make sure that these do not get passed. Whether President Trump or whether Mitch McConnell have said that these are dead on arrival is not enough to just hope and pray that they're going to do the right thing. Historically speaking, government has never done the right thing. So we have to take that stand. So I would implore and encourage each and every one of you guys in the viewing audience, whether live or after the fact, to get involved, get engaged, get in contact with me. And I would love to get you guys connected with people who are actively working to reject these bailouts.
And if somebody was trying to get in touch with you, and they aren't friends with you already on Facebook, what do you?
You can always send a nice, a terrible review of Spike Cohen, write a review, and then on
Apple Podcasts, you can write
on Apple
Podcasts or whatever they call it now, iTunes, but I don't know. They always change it. But on that, leave us a 5-star review and leave a terrible review of Spike Cohen.
But then,
and you
outside of that,
and you might get it read on the air by Steve Messina.
Yeah, and then outside of that, if you want to get in touch with me specifically, you can find me on Twitter at RealJasonLine. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Bearded Truth. You can find me on Facebook. I think it's Jason.line92. I have no idea where the 92 came from. I think that's a good discussion that we should get into. I don't understand. 92 has no relevance to my life whatsoever. Maybe Facebook is trying to destroy
when's your
my
birthday?
Age. No,
okay.
I was a 90 baby. Whoop whoop.
Well, yeah, but what day is your birthday?
10/21.
Oh yeah, no, not even there.
Not even close.
No.
So Facebook screwed me over, put 92, make me look act 2 years younger than what I am. But it is what it is. So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter. You can always just go onto the Americans for Prosperity's pages, and you can reach out to them. They would be happy to connect you with any groups that are having engagements. And so there's always good community there. And so however you can get and connect with me, find a way, leave a comment here in the section. And I will be happy to personally reach out to you through direct message.
Right. And you can also message any of the Muddied Waters social medias in order to get in touch with Jason, because he is a member of the Muddied Waters Media. I know a lot of you don't know that anymore. Because
I don't even know that anymore.
because he never does a show anymore. But you can just reach out to Muddied Waters Media. We can get you in touch with Jason, or he can just respond back to you from the Muddied Waters Media social medias. Do you have anything? Seriously, Justin and Mash blew my mind today. We're like going through and like talking about everything, and I scroll Facebook and I went, "Wait, what?"
It threw us all for a loop.
Yeah,
but yes,
really did.
outside of everything that we've already covered, I'm dumbfounded that this is like even a possibility right now. That we have seen people stand up and say, "Look, I'm a fiscal conservative, or I'm a fiscal hawk. I want to make sure that we're doing the right spending." And now is the time where we can actually use you instead of being behind the keyboard. Let's actually get engaged and let's actually make a difference. There are representatives who have already had their votes changed there in the House. We can continue to make these positive changes, and I understand it feels like you're banging your head up against the wall, but each and every one of us actually stepping up and doing the right thing, much like when it comes to like good Libertarian Party principles and values, if we don't do them ourselves, we can't expect others to do it. So we got to pick up the shovel and we got to do the damn thing.
Right.
So I would encourage you and implore you all to get engaged, get involved, and help reject these bailouts. And missed this. If you agree with this, go on to Facebook, go click on your display picture, go to update profile or update picture, click on frames, type in #reject bailouts, add that beautiful little little green banner to your profile picture, and then that will. I see Matt's pulling up Facebook
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do that right now.
Go on there, get that reject bailouts banner on, and when people ask you, hey, what the hell are you talking about with these bailouts? Explain to them, hey, look, Congress is looking to spend money that it won't have in this generation or the next generation on things that are just fiscally irresponsible. So get engaged, get involved, and I appreciate you all for listening to me rant and rave.
And the it looks good.
Dunskies.
Yeah.
And that was made by the beautiful Mrs. Bearded Truth.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a beard, so I guess it's just Mrs. Truth. I don't know. I don't know how
Mrs.
to handle that
Unbearded
name.
Truth. Mrs. Non-bearded Truth.
Yes.
Well, yeah. No, I'm glad that we were able to get this together today. Obviously, I'm really happy that I figured out how to change Muddied Beach, South Carolina, to Muddiedville, South Carolina,
And changing from Vermin Supremes.
and to all of Vermin Supreme's social medias. I'm very sorry that we started streaming on there. To all of you, I apologize. To everybody else, please please share. Like he said, head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, and give us a 5-star rating, but then leave a negative review about Spike Cohen in the comments. And Steve Messina might read them in the comments or on a show one day. Not in the comments. That wouldn't make any sense. And and remember, you can find this and every other episode of Muddied Waters of Freedom at muddiedwatersmedia.com. And we are also on Anchor at anchor.fm/muddiedwaters. We look forward to hearing from you in the future. And remember where we're going.
I'm Spike Cohen.
Hey, everybody, I'm Spike Cohen. How's everybody doing?
I'm Spike Crenshaw. I'm sorry. I had to.
I'm Spike Crenshaw. And remember, where we're going, we don't need roads.